The fluorescent lights buzzed like angry hornets in the sterile corridor of Hospital Virgen del Rocío, but it was Dr. Elias Hawthorne's voice that shattered the fragile peace. "You incompetent fool. If you'd followed protocol, this patient wouldn't be coding right now." His words sliced through the air, aimed like daggers at Freya Ellis, the young black nurse whose hands trembled not from fear, but from the raw injustice of it all. In the shadowed doorway of room 407, Jocelyn Harper watched, her heart pounding against the 4 lines snaking into her arm, knowing this was the moment everything would unravel, or ignite. Freya had always carried herself with the quiet grace of someone who'd learned to navigate storms without capsizing. At 26, she'd crossed an ocean from Atlanta to Seville 2 years ago, chasing a nursing program that promised escape from the microaggressions back home, only to find them blooming like stubborn weeds in the sun-baked soil of Spain. The hospital was a microcosm of the world outside, white coats worn like armor by expat doctors from the States, their accents thick with entitlement, while nurses like her, women of color, immigrants, the invisible backbone, mopped up the messes. Freya's skin, a rich mahogany that glowed under the Andalusian sun, marked her as an outsider even here, in a city where Moorish arches whispered of ancient migrations. But she thrived on the rhythm of it, the clatter of carts at dawn, the soft confessions of patients in the night, the fleeting smiles that made the exhaustion worthwhile. Jocelyn Harper, 31 and fraying at the edges like an old Hemingway novel, had washed up in Seville on a whim. A freelance photojournalist from Brooklyn, she'd come to document the flamenco festivals and forgotten gypsy trails, her camera slung over her shoulder like a talisman against the ghosts of a failed engagement back home. That was 6 months ago. Now, she lay in room 407 with a fractured ankle from a Vespa crash on the winding roads to Córdoba. Ironic, really, for someone who prided herself on capturing life's sharp turns. The pain meds dulled the throb, but nothing could blunt the ache of isolation. Until Freya. Their first encounter had been unremarkable, or so it seemed. Jocelyn, fresh from surgery, groggy and disoriented, had woken to Freya's voice, soft as river stones. "Easy there, chica. You're in good hands now." Freya's English carried a southern lilt, laced with Spanish vowels, a melody that wrapped around Jocelyn like a shawl against the chill of the AC. Over the next few days, as Freya changed dressings and adjusted drips, conversations unfurled like petals in the morning light. Jocelyn shared stories of dodging paparazzi in New York subways. Freya confessed her dreams of opening a community clinic for immigrant women, a place where no one would be turned away for the color of their skin or the stamp in their passport. It started innocently, a shared laugh over a botched translation of bandage into Andalusian slang, Jocelyn's green eyes crinkling at the corners as Freya's full lips curved into a grin. But beneath the banter, something deeper stirred, a recognition, electric and unspoken. Jocelyn had always been an ally in theory, marching in pride parades and calling out casual racism in her Brooklyn circles. Yet here, in the intimacy of beeping monitors and whispered vitals, she felt the pull of something personal. Freya, with her unyielding kindness and the way her curls escaped her bun like defiant springs, made Jocelyn question the walls she'd built around her heart after her ex-fiancé's betrayal, a man who'd professed love but recoiled when she came out to her family. By the end of Jocelyn's first week, their shifts aligned like stars in a clear civilian sky. Freya would linger after rounds, perching on the edge of the bed with a contraband café con leche, recounting tales of her abuela's kitchen back in Georgia, where collards met paella in unexpected harmony. Jocelyn, in turn, pulled out her phone to show grainy photos of her latest exhibit, portraits of queer women in hidden corners of the world, their faces fierce against backdrops of graffiti and cobblestone. "This one's from Berlin," Jocelyn said one evening, her voice low as the room dimmed. "She reminded me of you, unbreakable." Freya's gaze lingered on the screen, then lifted to meet Jocelyn's. The air hummed with possibility, thick as the jasmine climbing the hospital's outer walls. "You see things others miss," Freya murmured, her fingers brushing Jocelyn's as she handed back the phone. That touch lingered, a spark in the quiet. But shadows loomed. Dr. Hawthorne, the hospital's golden boy, a 50-something transplant from Boston with a pedigree longer than the Guadalquivir River, ruled his domain with the subtlety of a bull in a china shop. He'd arrived a year before Freya, imported by the hospital's push for international expertise, his CV gleaming with Ivy League stamps. To the patients, he was a savior, to the staff, a tyrant. Whispers followed him, how he'd docked pay for cultural misunderstandings, how he'd overlooked errors by his white residents while scrutinizing Freya's every chart note. "It's not personal," the head nurse, Maria, a kind but weary Spaniard, would say, though her eyes said otherwise. Freya nodded, swallowing the bile, because what choice did she have? Her visa teetered on her job performance, and dreams didn't pay rent in Triana's colorful alleys. Jocelyn sensed it early, the way Freya's shoulders tensed when Hawthorne's name echoed down the hall. During one late-night shift, as rain pattered against the window like impatient fingers, Jocelyn coaxed it out of her. "He's got you walking on eggshells," Jocelyn said, propping herself up despite the doctor's orders. Freya hesitated, then let it spill, the sidelong glances in meetings, the accidental overrides of her recommendations, the time he questioned her credentials in front of a room full of interns, his voice dripping with feigned surprise. "As if my degree from Emory doesn't count because I'm not from here." Jocelyn's jaw tightened, her activist fire flickering to life. She'd seen it before, in the newsrooms where her photos of Black Lives Matter protests gathered dust, labeled too provocative. "He's a relic," she growled, reaching for Freya's hand. This time, Freya didn't pull away. Their fingers intertwined, warm and sure, and in that clasp, Jocelyn felt the first fracture in her carefully curated detachment. "You're more than enough, Freya. And if he tries anything..." But words were easy, actions, treacherous. As Jocelyn's discharge date loomed, 2 weeks out, ankle-braced and crutches in tow, the hospital buzzed with preparations for Hawthorne's big presentation, a symposium on modern oncology in global contexts, where he'd tout the facility's diverse staff as his triumph. Freya was assigned to assist, a role that twisted her gut. "It's exposure," Maria insisted. "Suck it up, Mija." Exposure, indeed. On the morning of the event, Jocelyn wheeled herself to the auditorium's back row, her camera discreetly tucked in her lap. She'd begged Freya to let her come, framing it as moral support, but really, it was the pull of those shared glances, the way Freya's laugh lit the dimmest rooms. As Hawthorne droned on, his slides flashing images of smiling patients, carefully curated, light-skinned, Freya stood at his side, handing props with mechanical precision. Then it happened, a slide jammed, a minor glitch. Hawthorne whirled on her, his face reddening like overripe tomatoes from the market. "Ellis. What kind of amateur hour is this? Do I have to micromanage everything?" The room tittered, a nervous ripple. Freya's cheeks burned, but she held her chin high. "My apologies, doctor. Technical error." "Error? That's your excuse." His voice boomed, echoing off the vaulted ceilings. "Perhaps if you'd focus less on your extracurriculars and more on your duties." The implication hung, ugly and veiled, a nod to rumors Freya had heard, whispers about her friendships with female patients. Jocelyn's blood boiled. She gripped her phone, thumb hovering over record. Not yet, she told herself. Not here. That night, back in room 407, Freya collapsed into the visitor's chair, her scrubs rumpled, eyes glassy. "It's never enough," she whispered, voice cracking like parched earth. Jocelyn, ignoring her crutches, slid to the floor beside her, pulling her into an embrace that smelled of antiseptic and jasmine lotion. "It is enough," Jocelyn breathed, her lips brushing Freya's temple. "You're everything." In the dim glow of the bedside lamp, their foreheads touched, breaths mingling. Jocelyn's hand cupped Freya's cheek, thumb tracing the curve of her jaw. The kiss came softly, tentative, a question answered in the press of lips, warm and yielding. Freya's fingers threaded into Jocelyn's hair, pulling her closer, and for a moment, the world narrowed to this, two women, scarred by battles unseen, finding solace in the quiet rebellion of touch. It wasn't fire, it was embers, steady and sustaining, promising more if they dared. But dawn brought reality. Hawthorne's barbs had drawn blood, and Freya's resolve frayed. "I can't keep fighting shadows," she admitted over breakfast the next day, churros smuggled from the cafe, shared in stolen minutes. Jocelyn, heart aching, squeezed her hand. "Then let's shine a light. I've got contacts back home, publications that eat stories like this for breakfast. Let me help." Freya's eyes searched hers, vulnerable and fierce. "You do that? For me?" "For us," Jocelyn corrected, the words slipping out like a vow. As the days blurred, their bond deepened in the hospital's hidden corners, stolen kisses in the linen closet, whispered plans under starlit courtyards where orange trees perfumed the air. Jocelyn documented it all, not just the romance, but the rot, notes on her phone, sketches of Hawthorne's sneer, interviews with other nurses too scared to speak. Freya, emboldened, shared more, how a colleague, Sophia, had promised solidarity but fed intel to Hawthorne, betraying Freya's confidence in a bid for promotion. She said it was just business, Freya spat, tears hot on her cheeks. "But it feels like knives." Betrayal's sting echoed Jocelyn's own past, her ex, who'd outed her to save their relationship, leaving her adrift. "People like that, they're cowards," Jocelyn said, holding Freya through the sobs. "But we're not. We're the ones who stay." Yet doubt crept in. Hawthorne's scrutiny intensified, shifts were cut, evaluations nitpicked. Freya's visa renewal loomed, a guillotine blade. One evening, as thunder rumbled over the Sierra Morena, Jocelyn found Freya staring at the rain-slicked window, lost. "What if I lose everything?" Freya whispered. Jocelyn knelt before her, green eyes steady. "Then we build it back. Together." Their kiss that night was deeper, laced with desperation, a promise forged in storm. Little did they know, the tempest was just brewing. The symposium's fallout lingered like smoke from a flamenco guitarist's cigarette, curling through the hospital's veins. Dr. Hawthorne, buoyed by applause and backroom handshakes, doubled down on his reign, assigning Freya to the oncology wing's night shifts, grueling hours meant to break her. "Prove your worth, Ellis," he'd sneered in the break room, his Boston Brahmin accent sharpening the blade. Sophia, the betrayer, averted her eyes, her promotion papers fresh in her pocket, a silent testament to loyalty's cost. Freya endured, her spirit a flickering candle in the wind. Nights blurred into a haze of beeps and bleeds, patients' faces haunting her dreams, the elderly Spaniard with lung cancer, whispering prayers to La Virgin, the young mother from Morocco, clutching Freya's hand through chemo's nausea. "You're my angel," the mother had said, her grip fierce. Angels, Freya thought bitterly, don't cry in supply closets. Jocelyn, her ankle mending but discharge delayed by complications, a convenient fiction from a sympathetic resident, became Freya's anchor. She'd hobble to the nurse's station on off hours, her camera a shield, capturing the wing's quiet heroism, orderlies sharing tapas in the dawn light, Maria leading impromptu sing-alongs to ease a child's fear. But always, her lens found Freya, poised at a bedside, curls escaping like secrets, her smile a defiant bloom. Their love unfolded in fragments, precious and precarious. One midnight, in the deserted rooftop garden where bougainvillea tangled with 4 poles, Jocelyn waited with a thermos of hot chocolate spiked with cinnamon. "For my warrior," she said, pulling Freya into her lap on a weathered bench. The city sprawled below, Seville's bridges glowing like veins of gold over the river. Freya leaned back, head on Jocelyn's shoulder, and let the exhaustion ebb. "Tell me about Brooklyn," she murmured. "Make me forget." Jocelyn obliged, painting pictures with words, Coney Island's soul-kissed chaos, rooftop parties where queer-chosen families dance till dawn, the subways rumble like a heartbeat. "It's messy, but it's home," she said, her voice catching. "Like us." Freya turned, her dark eyes reflecting the stars, and kissed her, slow, deliberate, a reclamation. Hands roamed with reverence, Jocelyn tracing the curve of Freya's neck, Freya's fingers mapping the freckles across Jocelyn's collarbone. It was intimacy woven from trust, not urgency, a language of survivors. Yet cracks widened. Sophia's betrayal festered. She leaked Freya's patient notes to Hawthorne, framing them as sloppiness to justify a formal review. Whispers spread, Ellis is trouble, too emotional, too American. Freya confronted her in the locker room, voice steady despite the quake inside. Why, Sophia? We came up together. Sophia's face crumpled, then hardened. This is survival, Freya. You think I want to scrape by forever? Hawthorne sees potential in me. She paused, eyes darting. And let's be real, your distractions don't help. That patient. Harper. Everyone knows. The words landed like slaps, echoing Hawthorne's symposium jab. Freya's world tilted. Distractions. Their love reduced to gossip fodder. She stormed out, tears blurring the mosaic tiles, and found solace in Jocelyn's room. Collapsing beside the bed, she poured it out, the leak, the slur, the suffocating fear. Jocelyn listened, fury etching her features, then pulled Freya close. She's poison. But we're antidote. That night, they planned, Jocelyn would pitch the story to her editor at The Atlantic, anonymized for Freya's safety. Exposé on expat entitlement in global healthcare, Hawthorne as the unwitting poster boy. Excitement sparked, a fragile hope. Over the next week, Jocelyn interviewed discreetly, a Filipino aide who'd quit after harassment, a Cuban doctor sidelined for her accent. Freya contributed logs, timestamps of overrides. Their collaboration fueled stolen moments, kisses in the stairwell, where the echo of footsteps masked their whispers, walks along the river at dusk, Jocelyn's arm steadying Freya's waist, the Guadalquivir's murmur approving their secrets. But Hawthorne smelled blood. He summoned Freya to his office, a glass-walled area overlooking the courtyard fountains. Your performance is concerning, he said, steepled fingers hiding his smirk. Files splayed before him, cherry-picked errors, Sophia's annotations glowing like accusations. And these rumors, fraternizing with patients. Unprofessional, Ellis. Damaging to the institution. Freya's pulse thundered, but she met his gaze. Sir, my work speaks for itself. Patient outcomes. Outcomes. He laughed, a bark devoid of mirth. You're here on sufferance, girl. One misstep, and that visa. Gone. The word girl hung paternalistic poison, reducing her to a child in her own expertise. She left shaking, dignity in tatters, and ran to Jocelyn. They clung in the room's alcove, Jocelyn's embrace a bulwark. He's scared, Jocelyn whispered. Because we're onto him. But doubt gnawed, was exposure worth the risk? Freya's career, Jocelyn's neutrality as a journalist, both teetered. The turning point came unbidden. A patient in room 412, Elena, a fiery abuela with breast cancer, overheard Hawthorne berating Freya during rounds. Basta! Elena had snapped from her bed, rosary beads clicking. She's the only one who listens. Hawthorne blustered, but Elena's son, a local lawyer, took notes. Word spread, a petition circulated among patients, subtle signatures on get-well cards. Emboldened, Freya and Jocelyn escalated. Jocelyn's pitch landed, greenlit for a feature, deadline tight. They worked feverishly, nights in Jocelyn's rented flat in Santa Cruz, surrounded by Polaroids and paella takeout. Laughter mingled with strategy, Freya mimicking Hawthorne's pompous drawl, Jocelyn countering with Brooklyn's snark. Love bloomed fuller here, away from beeps, mornings tangled in sheets, sunlight gilding Freya's skin as Jocelyn traced lazy patterns, their bodies speaking what words couldn't. It was tender, profound, Freya's head on Jocelyn's chest, listening to her heart's steady rhythm, Jocelyn braiding Freya's curls, each twist a knot against unraveling. Yet betrayal's shadow lengthened. Sophia, conscience pricked or ambition unchecked, tipped Hawthorne to the investigation. He confronted Jocelyn during visiting hours, bursting into room 407 like a storm off the Atlantic. Miss Harper, I hear you're stirring pots. Libelous nonsense, I'll sue. Jocelyn, unflinching, hit record on her phone. Try it, doctor. The truth's a hell of a defense. He stormed out, but the damage seeped, Freya's shift suspended pending inquiry, her name smeared in memos. Despair crashed over Freya like a Sierra wave. I can't, I have to go back to Atlanta, start over. She paced Jocelyn's room, voice fracturing. Jocelyn, tears streaking, grabbed her wrists. No. We fight. Together. Their kiss was fierce, a dam against the flood, lips bruised, hands anchoring, souls bared. In that raw union, they vowed, no surrender. The climax brewed in the oncology ward's chaos. A code blue, Elena crashing, monitors wailing. Freya, defying suspension, rushed in, instinct overriding fear. She barked orders, veins adrenaline flooded, saving the woman with a tracheotomy as Hawthorne fumbled his approach. Patients cheered hoarsely, even Sophia paled, complicity cracking. But Hawthorne, cornered, lashed out. As the room stabilized, he seized Freya's chart, hurling it to the floor. This is your fault. You meddling. The slap of paper on tile echoed. Jocelyn, wheeled in by Maria, watched from the door, her ally's mask shattering. Unaware, Hawthorne towered over Freya, oblivious to the patient who'd become her fiercest guardian. You goddamn hack. If it weren't for my intervention, that woman would be a corpse on your watch. Dr. Hawthorne's roar filled room 412, veins bulging in his neck like twisted roots, his finger jabbing inches from Freya's face. Nurses froze mid-task, patients craned necks from half-open doors. Freya stood rooted, scrubs askew from the frenzy, her chest heaving not from exertion, but the venom in his eyes, a hatred distilled from years of unchecked power. In the doorway, Jocelyn's wheelchair creaked as she gripped the arms, knuckles white. The scene etched itself, Hawthorne's florid rage, Freya's unbowed spine, Elena's labored breath sinking with the tension. Jocelyn's phone, hidden in her lap, captured it all, the audio gold for her piece. But this was no story now, it was war. Hawthorne whirled, spotting her. You! The nosy cripple. Out! This doesn't concern. Everything you just said concerns me, Jocelyn cut in, voice steel wrapped in Brooklyn grit. She wheeled forward, deliberate, her fractured ankle a mere footnote. Because Freya Ellis just saved a life while you played spectator. And I'm the one who's been listening, every slur, every setup. Smile for the record, document. The room gasped, a collective inhale. Hawthorne's face drained to ashen, realization dawning like a guillotine's fall. This wasn't some transient patient, she was the thread pulling his empire apart, the journalist ally, woven into Freya's fabric. Sophia, lurking in the corner, bolted, her betrayal's house of cards tumbling. Freya turned, eyes meeting Jocelyn's, a storm of gratitude and grief. Jocelyn. You didn't have to. I did. Jocelyn's gaze held hers, unwavering. For you. For us. Chaos erupted, admin summoned, Hawthorne frog marched to HR amid sputtered denials. Elena, oxygen mask fogged with weak smiles, clasped Freya's hand. Mi heroina. The ward buzzed, petitions unearthed, witnesses emboldened. By evening, the hospital director, a portly Catalan with a no-nonsense mustache, convened an emergency meeting. Hawthorne's suspension was swift, investigations loomed like thunderheads. In the aftermath, Freya and Jocelyn retreated to the rooftop garden, the city a tapestry of lights below. Freya collapsed against Jocelyn, sobs racking her frame, relief, rage, release. He almost broke me, she whispered, face buried in Jocelyn's neck. But he didn't. Jocelyn stroked her back, rhythmic as a lullaby. You did that. We did. Their embrace tightened, bodies aligning in quiet affirmation, no grand gestures, just the profound weight of survival shared. As stars pricked the velvet sky, They talked, Freya's visa secured by the director's apology-laced intervention, Jocelyn's article, now a beacon, slated for print with Freya's byline if she chose. Betrayal's echo lingered, Sophia's resignation, tearful and unaccepted, a hollow victory. She'll land on her feet somewhere else, Freya said, bitterness softening to pity. But I'll never trust like that again. Jocelyn cupped her face, thumbs brushing away tears. Trust me, then. I'm not going anywhere. The kiss that followed was a seal, gentle at first, then deepening with the certainty of dawn. Freya's hands framed Jocelyn's waist, pulling her closer on the bench, their breaths a duet against the night's hush. It spoke of futures, of clinics in Georgia or studios in Seville, of love as activism, as home. Weeks blurred into healing. Jocelyn's discharge came with fanfare, nurses gifting her a mosaic tile painted with intertwined hearts, Elena's son offering pro bono legal aid for the exposé. Freya, reinstated with back pay, walked taller, her steps echoing purpose. They moved in together, Jocelyn's flat in Santa Cruz, walls soon papered with photos, Freya laughing amid orange blossoms, the two of them silhouetted against the Alcazar, hands clasped like vows. The article dropped like a stone in still water, ripples global. Headlines screamed, expat doctor's racist reign exposed in Spanish hospital. Hawthorne's career crumbled, defrocked, deported, his symposium legacy tainted. Sophia faded into obscurity, a cautionary whisper. For Freya, it was vindication, for Jocelyn, a Pulitzer whisper. But triumph's glow revealed scars. Freya woke some nights, Hawthorne's girl echoing in dreams, pulling her from Jocelyn's arms. Am I enough? She'd murmur, vulnerability raw. Jocelyn, ever the cartographer of hearts, would draw her back. More than. You're the map I never knew I needed. They'd make love in the soft hours, not as conquest, but communion, slow explorations under ceiling fans whisper, Freya's curves yielding to Jocelyn's touch, gasps mingling with confessions. It was sacred, this rebuilding, bodies as bridges over chasms of doubt. One golden October afternoon, they stood on the Triana Bridge, river winds tousling their hair. Jocelyn, crutches discarded, knelt, not in proposal's flash, but promises quiet. Freya Ellis, ally, love, revolutionary, build this life with me. Here, or anywhere. Freya's laugh bubbled, tears joyful. Everywhere. With you. Their kiss sealed it, witnessed by fairies and flamenco echoes, a tapestry of two women weaving wholeness from threads of pain. Months later, Freya's clinic dream took root, a small space in El Arenal, funded by article royalties and grants, doors open to all. Jocelyn documented it, portraits of mothers and migrants, Freya at the center, stethoscope like a scepter. They fought still, over burnt tortilla, visa renewals, the world's endless inequities, but always reconciled in the other's gaze, love a steady flame. In Seville's eternal spring, where rivers bend but never break, they thrived. Not unscathed, but unbroken, a testament to allies who become lovers, to betrayals survived, to humanity's quiet roar. And in the hospital's halls, where once shadows ruled, a new light lingered, Freya's, Jocelyn's, intertwined forever.